Consulting. Been with Flower Consulting for the last 3 years since my freshman year, but I'm a senior accounting and MIS major from St. Louis. Then turn over to someone else.
Yeah, I can go. My name is David Ruth. I'm a senior accounting and finance major. I'm a managing director in Flower Consulting, and I have been in Flower Consulting for the same amount of time as Nolan. I joined as a freshman.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren. I'm a senior marketing major. I'm a managing director for Flower Consulting as well.
And hey guys, I'm Elizabeth Anderson. I'm a junior marketing and MIS major from Dayton, Ohio. I'm also managing director for Flower Consulting, and I joined my freshman year as well.
All right, awesome guys. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to share my screen with the slide deck here and we'll get started. Can you guys see okay? All right, perfect. So thank you again for all being here. Just an overview of what we're going to talk about today. We're going to go through our mission and vision, a little bit about our clients, the growth we've seen in our organization, and then we'll end with some information about the intern program and the application process for you guys. So Nolan's going to kick us off.
Yeah, to start us off, kind of like the backbone of our organization is our mission and vision. So we guys have heard about our organization in the past, or if you've heard of us, you probably associated us maybe with like service or with like the experiential learning portion. So we try to tie both those aspects into our mission. So our mission is to better our students, clients, and community through the provision of our professional business services. What's cool about our mission is it encompasses business services in a broader category. So we run different types of programs to our organization, which we'll go into later. But we fit all of those within the greater goal of serving the students, clients, and community. And it's structured in a very intentional way where it starts with students and it works its way to community because that's how we channel our impact. So our first and primary impact is on the students who join our organization because that's what we're designed to do, to be an experiential learning opportunity. That impact in itself channels into the clients that we take on in our projects and through our loan portfolio. And those clients in turn contribute to greater good in the larger community. So our goal through our mission is to channel the impact through that stream and through the provision of the experiential learning opportunity that we do. Then our vision is to be the most strategic partner for our clients and partners in their journey to positively impact their communities. This just really focuses around being a resource and being a tool for the community in general and providing them the resources that they need to be able to be successful. So that's kind of a broader picture of our mission and vision. Kind of getting into the next page where we kind of measure that impact. This is a scattered bit of a couple different metrics that we use to determine our success as an organization and helping contribute to the larger community. So you can see on the top, that's how we geographically like provide impact. So we have worked with clients who provide resources in all of those countries that are highlighted in red. So last year we were actually able to add one more to the map, which I don't think is on there right now, but we actually ran a project down in Ecuador with a great organization down there that builds bamboo shelters for individuals who need homes. And they provide a variety of other services as well. So our work has really expanded outside of just the local Dayton area. Well, we still have like a focus in Dayton. We've been able to take clients all around the state of Ohio and, as you can see, even internationally. So it's been a cool way as an organization to be able to interact with different cultures. I know there was like a couple months ago, there was a day where I was on a call with someone from Italy at like 8 a.m. and then I was on a call with someone else in Kenya at like 10 a.m. and it was just a very crazy experience. But I think that's what's really cool about our organization is that you get to experience all of those different backgrounds. And then the other thing right below it is the UN Sustainable Development Goals. And this is focusing more on the type of community partners that we engage with. So you can see here, there are 17 different sustainable development goals. The ones that are highlighted in that are the clients that we've worked with in the past. So we've been able to really work with a variety of different industries through our client projects and provide a big variety of services to them, which has been also really cool because when you are engaged in a client project, you really get to learn a lot about the work that they do. And like, for example, I worked with Mission to Mary a couple years ago, and I learned so much about food deserts through that project because that's their primary objective, is to help serve the community and help eliminate the day in food desert. So we've been able to really engage with a wide variety of clients, which again makes our experience all that more unique. If you want to learn more about our impact, you can visit our webpage. I think it's under our impact tab. You can see our annual report from last year, which really goes into more detail about the work we've done in the past. Then going into kind of like the history of our organization. So we started in 2009 as a vertical of Flyer Enterprises. We shortly split off thereafter because we started out as a for-profit business, which wasn't really successful because we were trying to sell ourselves as a new organization, trying to charge for our services, even though we're still students and didn't really have at that point the experience or portfolio to back us up. So we had kind of a big gap between like 2009 and 2016 where we're only serving 1 or 2 clients. We kind of jokingly call that our dark ages, but it's really in 2016 that the big like Flyer Consulting that we know today became what it is today. So starting in 2016, we started serving around 4 clients a semester. Our organization was around like 20 people. And then throughout the course of the last 3 years, we've had a lot of different milestones. Actually, I guess it's now 5 years. That's crazy. That was that long ago. But we've had a lot of different milestones. So for example, we've been able to engage with 2 international clients, one in 2017 that was in Ireland, and then another one last semester that was in Ecuador, as well as like a variety of clients that do services in other countries. We've been able to engage with larger consulting firms on projects. We've worked on a project with Notre Dame and McKinsey. If you guys don't know, McKinsey is one of the big 5 consulting groups. So my freshman year, I was actually on a project that we're engaging with a client that was partnering with McKinsey to provide larger services. And then starting 2018, our second vertical was founded, which is Flyer Development. We'll get more into what that is later. And then finally, fall 2019, we had our first loan disbursements through Flyer Development. So we're really on track to grow our organization even more. This semester, we're hoping to start our local lending vertical. We took an additional client this semester, so now we're up to 6 clients this semester, and our organization's bigger than it's ever been. We have around 50 consultants at this point. So it's really a great time to get involved in Flyer Consulting as we continually expand both our nonprofit consulting services as well as our Flyer development services. And then going to the next.
Okay, so going into our work, so Flyer Consulting has 2 main verticals, as Nolan touched on in the last slide. So what used to be called Flyer Development is now under the name of Flyer Consulting Microlending. We're working on a little bit of rebranding. So in case you sort of hear those terms, they sort of go back and forth between Flyer Development. If you know, now we're just like calling that Flyer Consulting Microlending. And then the other aspect is nonprofit consulting. So nonprofit consulting, we work on 3 main types of projects. One of the great things about this org is that you don't have to stay on the same project every semester. So I've sort of gone between business development and marketing. You can even go into tech. You can even go into the microlending side. So really there's a lot of movement horizontally within the org. So a lot of our tech solutions, that's initially making any sort of recommendation that helps our client make their processes more efficient and effective and makes everything easier. So everything like customer relationship management and then other aspects. So we also have developed a health check. So 2 of our consultants have used a lot of IRS data along with their whole team to essentially compile a bunch of IRS financial data in which we can sort of use that to assess the health of a nonprofit and sort of benchmark their metrics against other similar organizations in the industry. And then we have the business development solutions. So that'll be anything from like new venture feasibility to capital campaign strategies, donor strategies, a lot of things under that realm, along with like market research, market analysis. And then finally is the marketing solution. So we have we've worked on a lot of like brand strategy, brand recommendations, so a bunch of rebranding aspects. And then we've also worked on digital marketing projects. So anything from search engine optimization projects to social media audits and to social media management platforms. So essentially, we've got a large realm and a very large portfolio of projects we've worked on. And every semester, we look to take on new clients that allow us to continue to expand our portfolio.
Yeah, so just to kind of kick it off with specific project examples, I'm going to briefly go through a tech example, hand it off to Grace to go over business development, and then finally wrap up with a marketing example. So for the technology side, I'm going to focus on Aileron, which is the bottom picture in that column. And Aileron's mission was to support privately held businesses and support their growth for the future. So the project that our consultants got to work on was really centered around their customer acquisition process and how they can efficiently implement different software solutions to help them just make that process easier for the whole organization. And by doing so, they were able to implement the software Calendly into their actual potential client form. And that really took away a lot of different steps in between the process of just going back and forth between the clients coming into them forming different relationships with them. So we were able to help them just kind of streamline the whole process. They were also able to connect it to their CRM HubSpot, which would record all of the meeting information, collect all of that data for them and really automate it as well as perform a text analysis on those forms that were reported within the HubSpot CRM on ways to decide what questions to ask, the beneficial of the entry points from that data. So all of our consultants really got to be within the software, within the dashboards of what they were working on. And so that was just a really good hands-on experience for our team. The actual impact of that project for Aileron themselves was it actually took out 9 steps of their customer acquisition process, which was a huge success. It's a really successful project in general. But it also saved the facilitators themselves time and money from taking different viewpoints of who are we going to work with in these clients, how are we going to do it. The Calendly kind of just automated it for them and really saved them time and money. And then lastly, since it was all connected to the CRM, keeping track of those meeting minutes really allowed for just a more efficient relationship and really built them up to be successful in the future and save them a lot of time. So I think Grace is going to talk about business development real quick.
Yeah, so I'll go into a business development example, that first logo there, FemAid Collaborative. And what they are is a Dayton-based nonprofit who's striving to end period poverty in the region by supplying feminine supplies to other nonprofits such as food banks or homeless shelters. So what we did for them was analyze the operational efficiency of their organization so that we could find areas of improvement in their process. So basically, people would drop off supplies in bins, and then how do they get those donated supplies to the nonprofits in need, such as the homeless shelters. And then we also looked at how can those homeless shelters communicate with FemAid to tell them that they need supplies, because some may get less traffic of female visitors than others. So some might need a replenishment of supplies more frequently. Secondary activity we did for them was to create a long-term funding and donor strategy to ensure that they can continue into the future, because they were a very young organization when we started working with them, just less than a year old. And so the outcomes of this partnership was we did increase their product collection and distribution. So we mapped out the best locations within Dayton to have those product bins and give them an outline for reaching out to those corporations and those businesses to have those bins in their stores. And then as far as doing a donor and funding strategy, we created a framework for an ambassador program, which would allow people to post on their Instagram if you were a social media ambassador, or host drives. And that really expanded their community awareness. So now I'll pass it back to Elizabeth for a marketing example.
Yeah, so on the marketing side, I'm going to focus again on the bottom logo there. So the Entrepreneurship Center is a local nonprofit that helps local business owners on the process of launching their own business. So it's really beneficial, and we actually were able to work with them for 2 semesters in a row, which is doesn't happen all the time, but when there's room for growth for us to continue our engagement with them, we do continue it through to the end. So, kind of the first semester was all focused on rebranding. So, on the marketing side, we were able to look at their current structure, how their brand archetype was being used within the community, how it was viewed by their clients, how it was viewed by just the community in general, and provide recommendations on how to craft that, how to analyze the brand, in comparison to their peers, and where they really were at in real time currently. And then the second semester was focused on implementing based off of those first semester recommendations. So it was kind of a 2-part project, but in the process of it, our team was able to provide all of the resources based on rebranding. And whether that be anything from a brand guide, looking at the specific colors, how to create the logo and manipulate it in different ways, on different platforms, on different t-shirts or different letterhead, stuff like that. So it was really just an all-inclusive project and really beneficial to get their name out there into the community that it was serving. So again, the impact for the tech project itself was just really increasing that brand equity of the organization and the recognition of tech within the local Dayton area. It improved their structure of programs that they offered, just kind of honing in on what it was that they wanted their vision and mission to be, and how that could be better portrayed within the community and how they could get that message out there in a really cohesive manner. So that's kind of all we have as quick 3 examples of our solutions. So now I'll hand it off to David to talk about our other side.
Yeah, so our other vertical of Flyer Consulting is our microlending arm. We have both international and local microlending. Internationally, we began lending through our partner in Nairobi, Kenya, the Imani Marianists, working with some small business owners and entrepreneurs in Nairobi, Kenya. We began lending in the fall of 2019, I believe. And since then, we have lent out in microloans $21,000, which has been a great accomplishment. And we plan on to continue that partnership indefinitely. And every semester we lend more money, which is really incredible. But overall, the microlending side, it's more finance focused than the other side of Flyer Consulting, but you do get aspects of everything in there, working with business owners. But the international side also, Imani Marianists, we got that connection because UD is a Marianist school. And then we reached out to the Marianists in Nairobi, Kenya, which some of those meetings, as Nolan was talking about, the time difference, you have to get up at 7 a.m. and get on a call. But it's an incredible experience to do that, and making a difference in those communities in Nairobi, Kenya is something that you might not have expected you would do when you come to UD, something that you can't really do anywhere else. On the local side, we haven't began lending yet, but we do have $250,000 in a fund that we are hoping to grow even further from a donor with our partner, the Greater West Dayton Incubator. The program is expected to launch this year, and our microloan fund for the local side is focused on women and minority-owned businesses located primarily in the West Dayton communities, with the goal of mitigating historic power imbalances within our Dayton community. So working with small business owners and entrepreneurs who are in underserved communities in the Dayton area, our loans will range from $5,000 to $20,000, averaging probably around $10,000 per loan per person, which we've been working on for about a year and a half now, and we're finally coming close to this semester where we're planning on launching the loan fund. But a lot of the work will be accepting applicants, looking at their application, making sure that they have the ability to repay the fund, working with the client after we lend them the money to make sure that they have a successful business, that they're they're able to pay us back, working with them specifically, helping them in similar ways that we do on the nonprofit side, and just in providing a all-around experience of these businesses. Yeah, you can go on. So some of the strategic partners that we have, because we don't have a lot of consulting firms who recruit at the University of Dayton, we've made partnerships with firms specifically through Flyer Consulting. We have a lot of local firms, which you see here citywide, Aileron in the Entrepreneur Center, and then also national firms like Guidehouse. There's opportunities throughout the year for trainings from any of these firms. People will come and talk to us about project management, anything from career development to leadership trainings. In the past, we've had speakers from Guidehouse, Deloitte. We've been to Aileron's campus. We've had a lot of people come and talk to us, and it's something that you don't really get outside of Flyer Consulting. And we actually have developed like an internship pipeline with some of these consulting firms. So they'll come to us if they're looking to recruit from UD. They don't come to UD as a whole. It's just something that we've built up with our reputation over the past few years. So if you're looking to get into consulting as a career, this is the best way to go because of these strategic partners that we've built.
Perfect. So now we're going to get a little bit more into the people side and tell you guys about the intern process, which you'll be eligible for this upcoming semester. So what we start our people pyramid with is the recruitment. So we thank you for coming to this recruitment event, but there's a lot of channels you can reach us on our Instagram or Gmail. You might have seen some of our content in like department-wide emails. But just to reiterate, we're looking for any major. We're not major specific in the School of Business. We've actually recently taken on a few graphic design majors, human studies, human rights, international studies, and computer science and computer engineering. Then next is train. So like we said, the intern process is where you'll kick off this training. And Elizabeth's going to talk a little bit more about that next, but there's also continuous training throughout your consultant career that you can take advantage of. So whatever your interest may be, Lauren, who's on this call, has done an amazing job at having a document with all these continuous trainings that you can do. So a lot of our consultants during the winter or the summer might learn a new skill in SEO, or if you're interested in Tableau or Excel skills, whatever it may be, we want to provide continual training opportunities for you that will look great on your resume. And then finally, promote. So the only way we can continue to do what we're doing is through promoting within the org. And there's other opportunities for leadership. So after you go through the intern process, you'll be a consultant on a project. From there, if you would like, you can move up to the project lead level, which is where you are the liaison between your team of consultants doing the research and the client themselves. And then the step above that is the managing director, which is the ones that are of us that are on the call today. And we oversee the projects and as well as determine new clients for next semester. So plenty of opportunities to get involved. There's also our own virtual teams inside. So we handle all our own marketing. So there's a marketing virtual team that does our amazing Instagram and LinkedIn posts that you've been seeing. There's a people virtual team that does a variety of things such as recruitment. And then we also have a finance virtual team. So even if you don't want to move up from the consultant level, you like that research, there's other ways to get involved.
Yeah, so now just to get into some of the specifics of the intern program, which is what all of you would be applying for. We really like to have this program be the first semester you join the organization so that you're then prepared to the way we do things, our certain processes, and then therefore be completely ready that next semester to be on an actual client and work with that specific engagement on a team. So kind of just to touch briefly on each of these 6 points that you see here, we have a lot of crafted trainings around all of these points that we like to focus on just to, again, expose you before being on an actual client. So first off is project management. One of the main things that we do within this intern program is we give 3 case studies to the interns that are based off of all of our solution portfolios. I'll kind of get into more specifics on the next slide for that, but through those and crafting those solutions to them, the project management kind of comes out with itself as you have to work on scheduling those, working in a team on those case studies. Again, just all the time management that's necessary, incorporating intern training with your class schedule and stuff like that. So that's kind of the first main piece of the intern program that we focus on. The second is professional development. There's a training all on how to optimize your LinkedIn, how to do best practices for interviews, stuff like that, and as well as just being able to network within all of us in the organization as well. All of the seniors that are going to be graduating soon, they have great networking opportunities within the companies that they're going off to. So we also focus on that. The third being public speaking is mainly, again, comes out of those 3 case studies that you'll be doing, but also just a complete training based around how to speak to your audience, the best practices for where your touch points will be, how to react to questions that will be asked within meetings. So everything along those lines. And then the next 2, Excel and Tableau, are more of our technical tools that we teach within intern training. I know those are 2 of the biggest tools that we use with our clients. So there's good trainings built out around how to download them, how to use them effectively for clients. And the case studies really use them as well. And then lastly, as David mentioned, we are pretty much the pipeline for consulting within UD. So we also touch on our specific client processes and kind of give you an idea of what the consultant life would be like. And we have different pipelines for them as well. If you're interviewing for that or want to learn more, we have multiple alumni as well for that piece. But that's kind of just a brief overview of intern training as a whole. To get into the specific case studies that you see here now, the first one is a marketing case study, and that's all focused around the digital aspect of this nonprofit that's been factored in and kind of just a mock client that you'll then be presenting to the whole organization and get feedback based on that. So you'll be looking at their current state, creating kind of a marketing plan, what they can do moving forward, and also analyzing their 990. So we do like to do that for all of the case studies, just to kind of get you familiar with it and know what you need to be able to look for. The second one is our donor engagement case study, which is the more technical piece. That's where we introduce Tableau, teach you how to extract Excel sheets into Tableau to better utilize them, get the correct dashboards, know how to make them visually appealing and digestible for the client. So that one's mainly focused around the donor analysis and the optimization of what you can do with the data that you're given. So it's all about who can the donor base be engaged with, who can the client reach out to, kind of stuff along those lines. And then the third and final case study is the business development one. And that's more of a broad strategic growth plan that we really let our interns take the direction on and see what they can compile from the entire intern training that they've been doing, what they can really make into the final presentation that also focuses on the more financial aspect. So it's kind of just a big overview of the organization as a whole. And then kind of a mini case study is a one-day one is just kind of letting you know about our microlending side. And that's where you'll go through the loan application process and approve a couple of loans just to get practice in that area as well. Because within our organization, we do give all of our interns, all of our consultants the choice of what type of projects they want to be in on, because ultimately we want our consultants to get out what they put in. So we wouldn't really be doing any use if we forced people to be on projects they didn't want to. So we crafted all of these case studies to give them a choice, to give them a little piece of everything that they could potentially be on so that they can then move around to different pieces that they like. But now Grace is going to talk about how you actually apply.
Yeah, so that's all we really have for you guys today as far as our presentation. So we'll open it up for questions and answers here now, but I'll put the link to our website in the chat when we're done, but it's just flyerconsulting.com and then apply to be part of our team. So the application is due this Friday by noon for freshmen and sophomores. And that is for the intern process that Elizabeth just explained. There is a 2-round interview process. So the first will be kind of your standard behavioral interview, just get to know you. And then second, we'll have you do a mini case study on a nonprofit that you're passionate about and how you can see improvement within their organization. So as far as that, let me stop sharing and we can answer any questions you guys have.
I had a question about just what your ideal candidate looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. Or yeah, really good question. I would say our ideal candidate kind of exhibits themselves as someone who's really passionate about learning, as well as like the work that we do. We're ultimately looking for people who are really interested in joining our organization, people who would be a great fit in the type of work that we do. So we're just trying to look for that in the candidates that are applying. Yeah, great question. Any others?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So this semester specifically for the intern program, you guys talked a lot about working with and working for the organizations and the other businesses. So this semester, is that going to look a lot like doing that work remotely or from the campus on the University of Dayton, or would we have the opportunity to go and maybe visit those businesses and work directly with them?
Yeah. So, or Grace, were you going to answer this one? I can
You
turn it
say
over to you.
that's a great question. In the past, when I was telling you guys about the FEMA-Aid client, they were actually here in Dayton. I got to go and present our deliverables to them, and that was great. The past 2 semesters for me, I've actually been on international projects, so it has been Zoom regardless. But all of our clients right now are going to be meeting via Zoom unless something changes. Nolan, correct me if I'm wrong, but we're able to have our small team meetings with our group of Flyer Consulting members in person. But as far as scheduling our deliverable presentations, right now they're all over Zoom. Luckily, we haven't had any problems with that because a lot of our clients have gotten the hang of it since this past year has been mostly virtual for them also. So we haven't run any roadblocks for that.
Okay, thank you.
Anna, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was kind of just wondering like what the time commitment is like for Flyer Consulting. Like how many hours a week would you say you guys spend working with clients?
Yeah. Lauren, you got it?
Yeah, I can answer that. So again, a great question. It sort of varies depending on where you are in the organization. So the intern process is definitely the biggest time commitment, as in like scheduled time, if that makes sense. So you'll usually be meeting like 2 to 3 times a week for about an hour and a half, like during that time. But then once you become a consultant, it's usually your weekly meeting with your team. And then outside of that, the research that you have to do for that week. So then again, that's on your own time. But usually that's about another hour. But then if you move up to a different, like the project lead role, that's again going to be increasing your time commitment and then so on. So it really depends what I'd say intern process wise, about let's say like 7 hours a week. And then consulting probably about like 2 to 3.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and just to build off what Lauren said, the reason we want our intern program to be like so extensive and a little more time, well, not only do you get to work in groups with all the other interns, so you'll get to know everyone, which takes a little more time, but just so that you're really prepared when you come into that consultant role. So the consultant role will be like a lighter workload because you're so used to the intern program. So we just try to over prepare you rather than under prepare you.
Yeah.
Interns do you normally take every semester?
So we take as many qualified applicants or as many people who are qualified each semester. So typically that looks between, I would say like 8 to 12. maybe a broader range of like 8 to like 15. Like it really does depend on like the recruiting base. We won't deny someone just because we have like a cap of we want this many people in our organization. So it's really up in the air. It may be smaller than previous years, it may be larger than previous years, but this really depends on the applicant base.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Any other questions?
Could you tell me like what the timeline is for the interviews? Like when do those start?
Yeah, so the application is due this Friday. Once those applications are all in, we'll be meeting on Friday to make determinations of who will be getting a second or first round interview. You will get those notifications Friday, and then first round interviews will be conducted through next week. Those decisions will be made that Friday, that Thursday or Friday. And then the second round interviews will be the week after that. And then same thing, those decisions will be made that Thursday or Friday. So it's all going to be within the next couple weeks that the whole process will take place. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. So,
Yeah.
You guys, it talked about how like there's different teams within Flyer Consulting, right? Do those teams ever interact with each other or like work with each other on certain things or projects if there's like a certain issue?
Yeah, do you mean our virtual teams or our teams where we're on a client?
On a client, I'm at.
Oh, yes, for sure. I know last semester was my first time doing a marketing strategy. And so what we often look at is what we've done for past clients. So we keep all the records of the deliverables we've done for past clients, but then also reach out to people that are doing the same work. So like I reached out to Elizabeth on her team because she was doing Google Analytics for them. So yeah, there is a lot of overlap. If you need help, chances are there's someone in the org that's a subject matter expert in what you need help in, which is great. And then also what we've done in the past, we have all archived. So you can also pull from that.
Yeah, I would say the culture is kind of unique in that way. And that, especially on the nonprofit consulting side, you're switching projects every semester. So you really get exposed to a lot of the people in the organization because you're going to be working with different people each semester. So a lot of times through those connections, you're going to be engaging with those people that you've worked with on past projects, like Grace said, to like ask questions or get advice on like the type of work that you're doing.
And sort of going off of that, what Grace was saying about the virtual teams. So the virtual teams, really like anyone can join, and say you're on a marketing project, you're like, hey, I want to be on the people virtual team. Like that's another great way to connect yourself with other people in the org beyond your client team.
You guys have been asking really great questions tonight. Any others?
Is the intern program paid or unpaid?
Unpaid. Everything in
Okay,
our
I
organization is
figured.
unpaid.
I figured. I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, we're all unpaid. The one thing that we do have is we count as a service point for the BWise program. So you guys are probably familiar with BWise. We do fulfill that service component. Hopefully in the future, we're looking to find a way to get us to like fulfill the experiential learning portion, but we're still in the process of getting that worked out.
Yeah, and then just other value adds that I can add to that statement is definitely like impact on the community. So like we said, local and international. But also I don't think I've ever been in an interview and not talked about Flyer Consulting and not talked about the work I've done and the skills I've learned outside. So there's definitely that perk too. Does anyone have any other questions? Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. We really appreciate it. We know virtual recruiting is a little difficult and different than what we'd want to be meeting you guys all in person with some pizza. But hopefully that can happen soon enough. And we hope to see you guys' applications come in, if not already, but by Friday.
Thank you guys all for coming.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good